Hello everybody, San here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about what are my current thoughts on the FDA. So before we do that, before I talk about yesterday's video as well, I do want to actually give a shout out to a user on Twitter called BioBoyScout. Biotech2K1 actually reminded me that those original pictures that we talked about in yesterday's video came from BioBoyScout, and he should be getting the credit for finding the FDA stance on GE, of course, genome editing. And of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly recommend you guys to watch yesterday's video. We actually went deep into discussing about that. Again, it's a reference of the whole Verve 101 drama, of course, Verve Therapeutics drama, and actually, that user actually let us know some important information, actually. And one of the key points there is how come Dr. Sek, basically the CEO of Verve, why has he not addressed one of the big questions, which is actually what yesterday's video talked about. And it's actually what I also want to address as well again in this video, which is a official website from the FDA.gov/media/whatever number/download. Of course, this is an official document from the FDA. And of course, this is exactly the same thing I showed you in yesterday's video, but I was just showing the screenshot. Now I'm showing you the whole document. There was a comment in yesterday's video. I think I saw it this morning saying, do we have the official stance on it? Well, there's your official stance, right? They're not specifically saying that they're against genome editing, not at all. But what they're saying is that GE, they pose significant risk. It's not really clear. The technology, uncertain potential for benefits, but there are some significant risk involved. And I actually agree with this. I mean, you know, me and you and people that follow CRISPR, you know, we're deep into it. We have the potential in our minds. We've read the books. We've seen the documentaries. We're all bullish on the technology, right? But the FDA role is not necessarily to be bullish about a technology, right? Their role is to actually maintain the safety of all these companies trying to get their drugs out, okay? All these companies are trying to do whatever capitalism is about, right? Which is, of course, maximize their profits for their shareholders and, of course, hope for the best of the population. Well, hoping for the best of the population, of course, we've seen how that happened over this last centuries, how companies, you know, take advantage of people, and they still do. I mean, but that's why you have layers of individuals there in place, organization, institutions, to ensure that these companies play by the rule that safety of citizens come first and profits come later, not second, not third. It just comes later, and that's exactly what the FDA has done over the last few years, few decades. And I think there's some pros and cons to that, right? And I think that's what I really wanted to boil our video into. My thoughts on this FDA, first of all, I was watching this interview between Lex Fridman and Balaji. And I don't know if you guys ever heard this Balaji guy. He's all about Bitcoin, cryptos, and he talks about technology, he talks about social networks and so on. He talks a long time, right? But anyways, it doesn't matter what how he is or what personality, type of personality he has. But the point is, he actually made a comment about the FDA, and he said the FDA is such a complex organization. It's such a complex organization. So many bureaucrats. I'm paraphrasing here, but so many bureaucrats. It's so complex. Things go so slow. And I'll be honest with you, I actually agree with that. I think, and I actually alluded to that in yesterday's video, the FDA is not elected by the people. So already there you have a problem, because now you have an institution that is taking taxpayers' money and that is not elected by the people. And they're serving the people, but they're not elected by the people. And of course, they're taking taxpayers' money, obviously, to pay their salaries, pay the cost to run this such a large organization in the US. And they're slow. I mean, look at what's going on with Beam 201. I mean, it's complete ridiculous, completely pathetic that an IND submission got denied and now it's on hold. And of course, look at what the FDA is doing right now with CRISPR. You know, look at CRISPR Therapeutics, Vertex, look at their program with CT801. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm keeping my hopes up, but if it's put on hold, then you already know it shouldn't be a shock. You know, the FDA has become an organization where it is, in my opinion, it's probably one of the most bureaucratic organization of all times. We saw what happened with the pandemic. The FDA already, we saw exactly what the FDA was all about. And we're seeing it play out with these companies, right? With these programs. And of course, this is nothing new. I mean, 10 years ago, I'm sure there was a video talking about the FDA exactly using the description that I'm using right now. So this is nothing new. It's just what's disappointing is, you have these biotech companies that are so great, so amazing. And, regardless of how amazing they are, regardless of what the technology is about, regardless of the amount of patients they can save literally today, they have to go through the FDA, right? And again, there are pros, the FDA's, we focus on these companies, but there are obviously many, many hundreds and hundreds of companies, private companies, right? And garbage type of companies where they deliver products that are extremely dangerous. And of course, like I said, capitalism, it's all about maximizing your profits and, you hope for the best for the population. And the FDA just can't have that, right? And us as citizens, we can't have that, right? I do want to remind viewers that the FDA is just in the US. I'm not even American, I'm Canadian, so we don't have the FDA here. We call it the Health Canada, which of course is something similar to the FDA. Again, not elected by the people, taxpayers' money, extremely bureaucratic institution. But I'll be honest with you, they're actually better than the FDA. But again, the FDA is look, guys, it's trying to organize the most richest country in the world and where capitalism peaks and where there are so many biotech companies, right? Genomics companies. We're going through this revolution right now, and and you got to put yourself in the shoes of these FDA folks. I mean, these guys have been in these positions for decades. They want to secure their salaries and secure their bonuses and whatnot, and allowing a product like CRISPR, genome editing product, just, for the sake of it, is extremely risky for them, right? It's extremely risky. And you got to put yourself in their shoes. But us as investors is quite disappointing, right? And although I said, in Canada, we have Health Canada, the truth is whatever the FDA does, it does compound across the rest of the regions around the world, right? It's the same concept with the U.S. Federal Reserve, right? Whatever they end up doing with interest rates, other countries follow. I mean, same concept with the FDA. FDA is so important in this world. And I'd love to talk about Health Canada. I'd love to talk about EMA. I'd love to talk about the institutions in Asia a lot more. But really, the FDA is the most important one when it comes to allowing these products in. But of course, if you want to be in Canada or you want to be in Europe, you need their respective organization to allow it. So they're just as important. But the FDA has a notch over all of those because of the reason I mentioned, right? So we recognize their importance. I'm not saying they should just disappear. I'm not saying that they should just close shop. I'm not saying that the people should revolt against that. But I am saying there is a need to reduce the bureaucracy there. I am saying that for us to go through this genomics revolution, the FDA is going to have to transform. Ultimately, they're taxpayers' money. Americans are paying taxpayers. They're paying the FDA salaries. They're paying the cost, and you're paying them to basically put programs on hold for a few months without a response. That's completely unacceptable. We just think about it. Would a private business be ever allowed to stop another partner's business for 30 days without a response and then send a single email and then tell you, get back to us, we'll get back to you within the next few months? It would never happen by a private or public business, but only the institution elected, non-elected by the population, but paid by the population would be able to go through that because they literally have the green light, right? Whatever they do, it goes. I mean, it's quite disappointing. And look, like I mentioned, there are pros and there are cons, but we have to acknowledge the cons there because they are putting brakes on the genomics revolution. They're putting a division between populations there when it comes to what is science about, what these clinical trials can really achieve. I mean, the jury's still out there with CRISPR. I mean, we'll see what CTX001 gets in terms of treatment from the FDA, but if anything happens on that end, you guys heard it from here first. Just don't be shocked, right? Because of all the reasons I just said. So Yeah, let's end this video like this, guys. Just wanted to give first a shout out there. Like I mentioned earlier, this video felt bad that I didn't give them a shout out there. But also I actually wanted to talk about the FDA. What are my thoughts here, what their role is, and how they really, whatever they end up doing really resonates across the world. So if you're American, guys, do support Cures 2 Bill Act. I don't know where it is right now. It's supposed to be a bipartisan bill. It's sitting in Congress. I don't even know where it's sitting. If you're American, if just give your state a call or something, just get this done. You know, let's get Cures 2.0 Bill Act. If you don't know what it is, I made a couple of videos on it. Check my video catalog. But I'll end this video like this. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a beautiful Thursday, of course. Thursday night. Subscribe if you haven't. Like this video if you found value. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.